Well, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to call to order this meeting of the Bellingham City Council. We'll start with some announcements and upcoming meeting information. The Bellingham City Council meets all requirements of the State of Washington Open Meetings Act. Also, on April 9th at 7 p.m., there will be a public hearing to consider amendments to the Bellingham Municipal Code relating to accessory dwelling units, also known as ADUs. Will you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
April Barker.
Here.
Dan Hamill.
Here.
Jean Knudsen.
Here.
Michael Lillequist.
Here.
Roxanne Murphy.
Here.
Pinky Vargas.
Here.
Terry Borneman.
Here.
Okay, great. Now we're going to move on to our 15-minute public comment period. We're going to have a slight change. If you've been noticing at our council meetings before, or anybody who's been tuning in, previously we've been ringing a bell to notify you that you have 30 seconds left to speak. Didn't seem to make much of a difference, so we're not going to do that anymore. So please just keep an eye on your time and try to stay within your 3 minutes, because we love to hear everyone and we love to hear all of your perspectives. And we'll get started with that in a moment. Also, just a reminder, please don't clap, don't boo, just listen, and we can support one another and each other's values and perspectives.
The first three speakers are John Humphrey, Jane Bright, and Monica Kalishka.
Hi, I'm John Humphrey of the Bellingham publicly owned fiber optic network. I've been here before. So here we are again talking about allowing big telecoms to use public infrastructure without also doing the totally logical thing of establishing a real, comprehensive dig once policy at the same time. This makes no sense. No matter what broadband solution you go with, it needs to be backed up with fiber. This is true of small cells as well. Public fiber ensures that there would actually be competition no matter what broadband solution you go with. The approach outlined at the 10:30 meeting today is spotty and old-fashioned. It is obviously intended to give a big advantage to big, mostly anti-net neutral telecoms. You have even had presentations from providers that the public was not allowed to comment on. You have done this without even consulting the impartial experts that you have available to you locally and free of charge. Small cells will help make wireless networks more reliable, but they will never be as reliable as fiber. In fact, the terms you hear surrounding wireless standards like 3G, 4G, and 5G are largely marketing terms. We will not see the best parts of 5G emerge until 2022, if they ever emerge at all. In the meantime, wireless networks have been proven to cost more in the long run than wired fiber networks. I have sent all of this information to you, and I and other experts in the area have offered to meet with you and at least give you an impartial overview of how this technology works. But you have ignored us while constantly working behind the scenes to make Bellingham as hospitable for the anti-net neutral, anti-First Amendment companies as possible. These kinds of actions are what erode trust in the Council and the administration. I hope that in the near future you will take telecommunications more seriously and gather more information from a wide range of experts before making a decision. No matter which way you go with wireless, it makes no sense to make any telecom improvement without establishing a dig once policy. As we've discussed at length before the November 13th meeting, in person with some and via email. Yes, we live in Washington State, which has passed a net neutrality law, but the big telecoms are already trying to get around that with federal preemption. They will never stop. One final note about the land use policy. Why would you ever exempt any company from following reasonable land use policies? There is no need to do this. They can get what they want by following reasonable policies. In general, it's actually disreputable politicians that have been pushing for getting rid of land use policies like Doug Erickson, Ajit Pai, and Donald Trump. They do not protect your First Amendment rights, and they are incompetent or worse when it comes to telecom. A recent public records disclosure shows that Erickson, for example, is invested in Sprint, Ajit Pai, and Verizon.
Please refrain from referring to people, and please stick to your issue.
Okay?
Thank you.
This is all part of the issue. So public commentary should be extended to 5 minutes so that when you hear from an expert, you can actually listen to them. So here we are again. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jane Bright, and I live at 306 Highland Drive, and I'm here to issue all the city councilors, and I'm sorry the mayor's not here, an invitation to drop by my house. As some of you know, I'm also the president of the South Hill Neighborhood Association, and you folks are about to get some very exciting, interesting zoning changes that will be coming before you. And my house in my location, my neighborhood, is a wonderful illustration of some of the challenges that we face as a city. As you know, you have coming up the Airbnb proposal, I think some changes in boarding houses, legalizing detached accessory dwelling units, and changing commercial zones. And the point that my little neighborhood would make is that we have a cumulative effect when all these things come together. Highland Drive has no parking, and my little section of neighborhood backs up to Maury Lane, which has no parking. That is key for this little section, this little quirky neighborhood. So we have unintended consequences of some of the things that are being proposed. I live in a place where there are 26 houses in my immediate neighborhood. 4 of those are owned by investors, LLCs, 2 in California, 1 in Montana, and there's an owner in Seattle. They're rented, mostly to students. The 4th one, I'm not sure anymore whether it's a family or students. We have 2 unregistered ADUs, one right next door and one across the street. I share a driveway with one of them. And we also had a 5th rental in the area. And one of the rentals, with student rentals, when it's not being rented to the students between semesters, it's an Airbnb. And what has happened, one of the houses that's being rented, they are working on it without a building permit to add a 5th bedroom. So now we're getting into the whole boarding house thing. So this is this one little area. And the issue is parking, because these are all homes that were built as single-family homes. So we just do not have adequate parking. An example is the detached accessory dwelling unit proposal that I've seen requires 1 parking space and gives the planning director the discretion to say you can have no parking spaces. You know, if there's adequate on-street parking, then that's not such an issue. In our neighborhood where there's no parking, I've seen nothing that would address having to add parking. So this is the question. When you start smushing all these different changes together, on the ground, what happens when you've got Airbnbs, rentals, and detached accessory dwelling units, unregistered accessory dwelling units, and not enough parking to begin with? That is a perfect example of the challenge that you folks are going to face as you try and wrestle all these different ones together.
Time.
Thank you. And I'm serious about the invitation.
Thank you, council members, for the opportunity to briefly weigh in on behalf of my company. My name is Monica Kalashaw, and I manage the energy efficiency and community outreach programs on behalf of Cascade Natural Gas. I appreciate the chance to provide a little feedback as a local utility provider to this community in reference to Resolution 21905. I understand it's been postponed to the council meeting at the end of the month, and as such, in the meantime, I ask the council to keep the following in mind as the City of Bellingham Climate Protection Action Plan and its associated resolution are evaluated and the resolution potentially revised. Cascade serves approximately 44,000 residential customers in Whatcom County, with nearly 20,000 of those homes located within the Bellingham city limits. We also serve over 5,000 commercial customers in Whatcom County, meaning nearly a quarter of our total customer count in Washington is located within this county. As such, we are committed to this community and are not only here to serve, but also to help the residents and our customers make wise energy decisions that get the most out of the energy they've purchased. As indicated throughout the Climate Protection Action Plan, Cascade actively seeks a place at the table to assist with community engagement projects and energy efficiency efforts. We provide a robust incentive program to our residential, commercial, and industrial customers and have every intention to continue in our collaborative community engagement efforts to reduce energy consumption through our local partnerships and established rebate programs. We are concerned with the language in Section 7 of the resolution as it currently reads and ask the section be modified. The current iteration of language does not address the hardships a residential customer may face in transitioning away from their main heating source and could be especially difficult for vulnerable homes to accommodate, not to mention negating the useful life of equipment already installed in these homes. It also disregards the effects of market indicators like price, comfort, and individual choice inherent to the industry. We believe there are less costly ways for residential customers to reduce their energy use and ask the city consider what funds would actually be available to accommodate the goals as written. Has it also been considered that an aggressive goal of this nature might have the opposite intended effect and result in a negative environmental impact should at-risk customers revert to wood as an alternative option within our region? We have a great desire to work with the city on their continued efforts to reduce carbon within the Bellingham community and would be glad to participate in future discussions given the opportunity. Thank you kindly for your time.
Thank you. The next two are Lynn Murphy and Yoshi Ravel.
Good evening, Council. Lynn Murphy with Puget Sound Energy. I want to thank you for the opportunity to comment on the resolution before the Bellingham City Council regarding the adoption and implementation of the 2017 Climate Action Update. The city and PSC have worked in partnership over the years on projects such as the Georgetown Energy Prize, the Community Energy Challenge, which resulted in a new community solar project down at Taylor Dock, and the city's recent participation in PSC's Green Direct program. We greatly appreciate your engagement on these projects, and we know that you share the goal, our goal, of creating a greener, sustainable, renewable energy future. While we agree with the intended vision outlined in the Council resolution to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote renewable energy resources, we are concerned with the specific goals and outcomes being considered. In particular, we are concerned with Section 7, with the goal to adopt 100% renewable energy for the municipality and customers by 2030. We are also concerned with the Council's intent to adopt standards and then study the outcomes and achievability of those policy goals. PSC's recent engagement with state legislators during the 2018 legislative session, contemplating similar policy objectives, highlighted the underlying policy and objective challenges to these particular goals. State legislators ultimately agreed to study and evaluate before adopting those unrealistic goals. I have shared with the Council a number of coalition letters and studies highlighting the need to first study the implications of the policy objectives you are now contemplating. In short, the 100% mandate creates serious reliability issues around energy delivery to our customers, your constituents. The goal is not technologically achievable or feasible at this time and will significantly increase cost to customers, which is more than $2 billion over other planned energy investments. We share a responsibility to our customers, again, your constituents, to see the future policies are based on a thoughtful and realistic approach, utilizing alternative renewable resources while ensuring reliability and affordability. Again, thank you for delaying the resolution from this afternoon until you have been able to further review and understand this issue more fully. Please make sure PSC is at future discussions around this particular issue. And we also ask that you consider calling upon state legislators to continue to use the dedicated state resources to help inform the city on the best pathways forward, reducing emissions while ensuring reliability and cost-effective delivery to energy to the city of Bellingham. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yoshi Ravel. Thank you, members of the audience and staff, members of the City Council, and Madam Mayor, wherever you are. I was reading in the news today about something called the choking game. It's a game that our children are playing where they choke themselves to passing out to somehow get a high out of that. Unfortunately, some of them are dying in doing that, and it's often misclassified as a suicide. What an awful thing. And like the school shootings, one has to ask, how can our children be doing this? And the answer is, it's our culture that we've set up. Our priorities are wrong. We are the wealthiest, supposedly, nation on the earth. And our children are playing games of choking themselves to passing out and shooting each other in the schools. Now, I would call that morally bankrupt. Success is not about big fancy houses or fancy vacations or big bank accounts. Jesus said, love even our enemies, and Buddha said we're supposed to be compassionate. And Muhammad said every act of kindness beautifies the whole world. I was reading one time about a culture in the Pacific Ocean, and their definition of success, well, first, their definition of failure was the person who had the most toys. The person who hoarded the most stuff was considered an outcast. Their definition of success was the person who gave the most to the community. That's who we really are. When we're listening to the better part of ourselves, I call it the heart voice. When we're listening to the heart voice, we want to help each other. And we don't care about stuff as long as our basic needs are met. Stuff actually becomes a burden. It's the love and the kindness that we do for each other. That's where we feel good. Then our kids don't play choking games or shoot each other in schools because we're doing it from our hearts. We're living from our hearts. That's the only way that we can live. Thank you very much, and I wish you all health and well-being. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, now we will move to our council standing committee meetings that happened earlier today, the first of which is Planning and Community Development, and that is chaired by Councilmember Lillquist.
Thanks very much, Roxanne. We had three somewhat similar items for presentation and discussion this morning. No actions were taken. They were basically reports on activity. The first one was a presentation by the Small Business Development Center, where we heard about the organization's accomplishments in 2017. The director of the SBDC, CJ Seitz, provided us with a report on the accomplishments and lessons learned over the last year. The SBDC, by the way, is a joint operation funded by the federal government, local government, and higher education, that is Western Washington University. It's locally directed and is tailored to each individual client who are small businesses in their areas. 80% of their clients were existing small businesses in the area, and the rest were people exploring the idea of setting up businesses. They also had 13 training sessions, which had over 213 attendees from a broad range of sectors and all kinds of businesses here in Whatcom County. Under federal law, they track certain outcomes like new business starts and jobs created and the amount of capital invested in new businesses. But sometimes the outcome doesn't show up on their tracked measures. For example, sometimes the result of exploration, CJ told us, is no, that maybe we shouldn't invest or shouldn't go this direction. And they consider that a success too, if it's a smart business choice. The topics include a range of business challenges like managing growth, managing your HR challenges, finding the right talent, marketing, financing change, and buying or selling a business. According to their metrics, there's about $16 returned to the local economy for each dollar spent by the SBDC on helping their clients. And of that money, only half of it is locally invested, so basically our local investments are multiplied by a return on 32. That was just a report from the SBDC to the City Council. We get that report once a year. The next item was a report on cultural heritage tourism strategic plan. Cultural heritage tourism was identified as an opportunity for new economic growth in planning exercises several years ago. This is a new economic development initiative that our planning department recently completed for Bellingham and as well as for Greater Whatcom County. Our main partner in this was the Bellingham Whatcom County Tourism, as well as local stakeholder groups, and they hired a consultant to lead the group in a planning exercise that resulted in the creation of the plan. Bellingham-Whatcom Tourism has agreed to take the lead in implementing the plan, with the City of Bellingham serving as primary stakeholder that will help forward relevant strategic actions to the city when they're appropriate to the city. The strategic plan can be found online if you will just search the appropriate place. I would, part of the presentation today from staff, and I'll turn to tourism in the next item, indicated that what's called cultural heritage tourism, which is basically when visitors are interested in the history or art or the culture of a particular place, really depends on authenticity. What do you have in your community that people want to see? And it's seen as a natural complement to another strong point here in Whatcom County, which is recreation-oriented tourism. Let me see, they helped develop a countywide asset list. They did an analysis of the audience of visitors they're trying to attract, as well as other regional attractions and regional competitors, and also the difference between different generational markets, young, old, and different ages, what they're looking for, and how best to appeal to them. So that was a report on the new strategic plan for cultural heritage tourism. The next was a presentation, the third item was a presentation from Bellingham-Whatcom County Tourism of their accomplishments in 2017 and their work plan for 2018. The executive director of Bellingham-Whatcom Tourism, Sandy Ward, was here, and she provided a report on their accomplishments and the organization's scope of work and goals. By the way, the Bellingham-Whatcom Tourism received substantial funding from the City of Bellingham, although it's actually truly pass-through dollars. There's a lodging tax on hotels and motels. Of that money, most or a large portion of that money goes directly to Bellingham-Whatcom County Tourism for tourism promotion. So from the tourism business right back to tourism businesses. Bellingham, by the way, is ranked 5th in the entire state for visitor spending. That means $588 million per year goes to our economy that has to do with visitors. Which includes over $150 million in local earnings. In other words, that's what's earned locally and put in the pockets of people who work here, and that includes over 6,800 jobs, which can be tied to the fact that there are visitors coming to Bellingham and Whatcom County. Their efforts include cooperative marketing, which is both print and digital media to reach out, and example emphasis programs like Base Camp Bellingham, which basically is a kind of a marketing theme based on the outdoor recreational opportunities, and that brand of Base Camp Bellingham is then used to sell in certain markets. An example that was referred to had to do with Denver. Denver is a natural recreational market, very good place to find people who would like to visit Bellingham. The annual, what is it called? Active Travel Show in Denver will be this year. They'll be there, and they most recently, Bellingham-Whatcom Tourism went there for the Great American Beer Festival. And again, we have a strong market in beer travel here. People come to Bellingham-Whatcom for the beer, and that was a great place to go find them. I was identified a while ago by a study that Whatcom County does very poorly in wayfinding. That is, if you're a visitor here, it's often hard to figure out where you should go to find the next thing to see. You often may not know there's something wonderful to see in town. As a result of that, the city, through the same funding mechanism, has been paying for signs. We've been funding the Bellingham-Whatcom Tourism for developing maps, kiosks, trail markers, and GPS-based apps to help travelers find where they're going. One of the benefits of this is everything we do to help visitors find the attractions and offerings here in Whatcom County. Also helps locals find the attractions and offerings here in Whatcom County. Those are just some of the highlights. I recommend that you look back at the videotape of those 3 presentations this afternoon. All those items were for information only. The committee took no actions, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, next, we will hear from Public Works and Natural Resources, and that is chaired by Councilmember Knudsen.
Thank you, President Murphy. We had one item, and it was for information only. Preparing for the Preparing for the deployment of small cell wireless facilities in the city right-of-way. This afternoon, staff briefed council on its work to develop a regulatory framework for the development of small cell wireless facilities in the city right-of-way. Small cells complement the macro cell tower network to improve coverage and capacity for wireless voice and data transmission. As the name suggests, small cells are much smaller than traditional cell towers and may be attached to existing infrastructure in the right-of-way, like power poles, telephone poles, and street lights. Staff anticipates bringing code changes to the council in the next couple of months. We heard from Ted Carlson and Matt Stamps. We did have a motion to hold a public hearing on this issue in the near future. The committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Second.
Great. A motion has been made and seconded to hold a public hearing regarding the deployment of small cell wireless facilities in city right-of-way. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously.
End of committee.
Great, thank you so much. Next, we'll hear about public safety from Councilmember Borneman.
Thank you, Roxanne. We had one item before the committee today, and that was Bellingham. It was a presentation regarding the Bellingham Police Department strategic plan. Through months of research, collaboration, and consultation with various stakeholders, and being guided by council-adopted policies, including the 2009 legacy and strategic commitments, the department developed a dynamic action plan aimed at continuously enhancing the core services to the public. The plan is intended to form a compact of expectations and commitments by and between the department, city leaders, and the public. Chief Dowell outlined how actions will be staged and taken and how needed resources will be focused to achieve the goals. This plan is organized around 6 strategic decision-making commitments. First, and has to be the most important, is safety first, the safety of the public and the officers. Then it's public interest priorities, community and professional partnerships, valued and quality personnel, collaborative planning and continuous improvements, organizational accountability, and fiscal integrity. This was a very good plan that's been put together, and I would encourage the public to go online and take a look at this plan. But we will also, we decided that we would have a encore performance, an encore presentation of this presentation at our next meeting, which will be March 26th, and it'll be done in the evening at the beginning of the meeting, because I think the public is very interested in what our police department is doing, what core values it's centered around, and how we're moving forward and evolving as a department. This was for information only. End of committee.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, now we'll move on to Committee of the Whole, and I'll be happy to provide information on that. So we had one main agenda item, and it was a resolution regarding our climate action plan. Several council members voiced feedback and interest, especially relating to what we've been hearing from the community about concerns regarding this resolution. So what we decided to do was postpone any action on this resolution, and we'll take it up at the next council meeting with a revised version of the resolution. So I encourage people to keep an eye out for that, because definitely we want your input and we want your values represented. Councilmember Vargas, is there anything you'd like to add on that?
If I may.
Please.
Just 2 things I wanted to reiterate from this afternoon, because there seems to be some confusion with the way it's worded, et cetera. I wanted to ensure that people realize, and we will do some slight changes, which have been talked about earlier today, to make sure that Section 8 identifies that these are goals that we aspire to, and that we recognize that they are not currently achievable, and that Section 8 about creating the task force is to bring professionals like from Western Energy Institute and the utilities to the table with the City of Bellingham to ensure that we are determining feasible goals. So it may not be clear in the wording, but that was the intention, and so those are things that we are working towards.
Councilmember Lilliquist, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry, can I just add a little more information on that, because the discussion this afternoon dealt on the resolution, and what Pinky is saying is true. There's some discussion about those goals, but there's also the action plan itself, and I think there's no disagreement on the goals that are in the plan itself. It's on any goals beyond what's in the plan, so please look at the plan. Those goals in there, I think there's consensus that those are achievable. If it's anything more, that's where the discussion is.
Great, anything further, council? Okay, seeing none. So definitely keep an eye out for that resolution that we'll be taking up at the next council meeting. So next we'll move on to approval of meeting minutes. We have minutes to approve from the meeting of February 26th.
Second.
Great, a motion has been made and seconded to approve these meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Lilliquist, please.
Yeah, on page 2, there's a motion that I made. It was seconded. It got reversed. It says from this to that. It should be to this from that. So if you just use to and from, everything else is fine.
Okay, I'll change that.
Thanks, Liz.
Okay, so now we are asking for your approval of the meeting minutes as amended. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Old or new business, please. Councilmember Vargas.
I just wanted to let everybody know that our participation in the Bellingham Energy Prize, we did place third, and one of the things that they're offering to us is a level of education and outreach, and they have offered to pay for a trip to go to Washington, D.C. to participate with all the other winners. I won't be attending that. We have asked Mark Garner, who worked a lot on this prize and did a lot of the work to represent the city. So he'll be going to Washington, D.C. this week to represent us and continue on the work of the Bellingham Energy Prize.
Great. Councilmember Barker, please.
I'll start with one. I wanted some old business, was wondering where we are at on the dig once policy. What? The dig once policy, just wondering where we're at with that, when we can expect an update.
Second quarter.
Okay.
Councilmember Knudsen, would you be willing to share the
Yes,
information
I
from
met
earlier?
this morning with the Marine Corps League. They are looking to save our parade. As you know, the chamber decided not to do it, and I met with them this morning. We got them started in the permit department. They're going to be working with the mayor's office, and hopefully they're going out and getting a lot of sponsors. There's a lot of support coming up to try to keep the parade. It's 98 years old. It's had a few different names, and they're really excited. There's a lot of them working on it, and they put in for the parade permit today, and hopefully they can get enough to where we can have a parade in Memorial Day weekend. So
Great, thank you.
good for them.
Councilmember Barker, please.
Just an announcement that BTC is having their Fab Week, which is what they used to call their welding rodeo. So that's this week, all the way through the 16th, and the public can join from 10 to 2:30 to watch what's going on there. Bellingham Technical College.
Thank you. Council, anything further? Seeing none. Okay, that ends Committee of the Whole, and we had no executive sessions today, so now we'll move on to the mayor's report, please.
Brent Heinrich, Mayor's Office. As you're all aware, the legislature adjourned last Thursday, and so following this meeting, I have a number of items, both from our lobbyists from the Association of Washington Cities. I'll send you, it's a little bit of a preview into a presentation that we're scheduling on April 9th in the afternoon to have Ben Buckholtz come up and give a more complete recap of what transpired in Olympia over the short session. It's a little bit of a mixed bag, like it often is. There was some good news that came out of it. And then some of the things that we advocated for didn't make it this session, but we anticipate they'll be teed up for next session. So look for that email. I'll send it following our meeting tonight. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Consent agenda.
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Final consideration of ordinances.
Agenda Bill 21706, an ordinance of the City of Bellingham, Washington regarding membership and other aspects of boards and commissions, creating a new chapter that establishes a home rehabilitation program loan review board, and amending sections 3.08, 3.08.010, 2.19.020, 2.20.010, 2.20.020, 2.36.010, 2.36.020, 2.36.030, 2.36.050, 2.42.020, 2.44.010, 2.44.020, 2.46.010, 2.46.020, 2.54.020, 2.55.020, 2.80.020, 2.86.010, 2.86.020, 2.90.010, 2.94.010, 3.030 and 3.16.060 of the Bellingham Municipal Code.
Move third and final.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded regarding approving the ordinance for code provisions relating to boards and commissions. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please give Elizabeth
Can you
the
repeat who
support.
moved and seconded?
Second.
Thank you. Jean Knutson.
Aye.
Michael Lillquist.
Aye.
Roxanne Murphy.
Aye.
Pinky Vargas.
Aye.
April Barker.
Aye.
Terry Borneman.
Aye.
And Dan Hamel.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Great, well, that concludes our evening meeting, and I hope you all will have a safe and happy St. Patrick's Day. We are adjourned.